Now then, I'm not going to lie, my voice has gone. I lost my voice last night and I've just started recording this having watched the first race in Bahrain, and my god, what an opening race we've had. Anyway, we're here for my team, round number 2 of the season, and we're here for Imola. First of all though, if you haven't seen round 1, the previous race, then go check it out, Bahrain, link up in the top right. Worth watching because there are going to be spoilers ahead. And as always, the playlist link will be linked down below, so go check that one out. But yeah, we're going to get into the action here. Leave a like if you're going to enjoy it. Subscribe for more. As you can see, we're going through a couple of activities in the background. Also, a personnel department event in which we had to pick between consistency or racecraft for Pierre Gasly. In the end, I went for consistency because I feel like that's the key metric in Formula 1 and something you need to have. So we jump into the weekend here at Imola, and you can see on screen and right now we have no weather forecast. So when you don't have this option available to you, you can also look on the main menu. You can see here in the bottom right we have, by the looks of it, mixed conditions for qualifying and the race, so possible rain in both sessions. Speaking of which, we jump into Q1 and already you can tell the skies are a bit grey, so we're going to quickly get into the garage, see what the weather forecast is, and then hopefully get an according setup on the car and see what happens. So you can see here, the weather forecast right now is going to be dry for at least the next 10 minutes, and then around the 15-minute mark it's going to start to get wet. So that seems like the plan, and we've got the forecast on approximate on this career mode, so it can sometimes arrive later, other times it could arrive earlier, and in this case the rain actually would end up arriving a little bit sooner than expected. In the meantime, I went ahead and loaded up my Imola setup. I'm going to make a few adjustments, reducing the front wing because these cars are super quick, so I'd rather sacrifice some front end for a bit more stability, and then also increasing the ride height to avoid getting underfloor damage as we've seen before already in round 1 in Bahrain, and then of course my usual brake bias modifications, brake pressure modifications, and also the tyre pressures, because again these cars are so fast and the brakes are so powerful, you have to kind of dial it all back a little bit and run it on the safer side. Anyway, settings done, setup ready to go. We can now hop on track and we're going to see exactly what the conditions are. You can see it's really dark outside already, and like I mentioned, the rain was actually going to arrive earlier than expected. Nonetheless, we're going to basically leave the garage, go on track, and then ask Jeff on the radio for a weather update and see exactly when the rain is going to arrive. So yeah, let's see. Hopefully a decent qualifying ahead of us after a very decent qualifying last time out in Bahrain. We're going to try and continue that good form. But yeah, underway. Let's leave the pit exit and now go onto the radio and speak to Jeff.
We're expecting the rain to hit us any time now. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
And there it is, literally any time now. So we're not going to get a lot of time, and to be fair, I'm currently at the end of my first time lap and the rain is already falling. So only a handful of cars have set laps so far, and we're going to be, I think, one of the first 7 or 8 cars to get a lap in. So we're going to be quite fortunate in that aspect that we're going to get a nice early lap in with relatively decent track conditions. Across the line we set a 1:11.3, we go P7 at the time, behind Latifi and Guan Yu Zhou, but ahead of Dan Tickton and Matsushita. I tried going for a second push lap. Unfortunately, I ran a bit wide through Piratella and got an invalidation, so we're going to have to roll out this lap as the track continues to get worse at this stage.
The forecast suggests this rain is going to keep getting stronger for at least the next 15 minutes. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
And yeah, pretty much. I tried going for one more lap as the rain was taking a bit of a while to arrive, but at the same time the track was gradually getting worse, and you can see I'm on two personal best sectors, but I messed up the chicane at the Variante Alta and the track was just starting to get a bit too slippy, and I just backed off, went back to the pits, and the rain continued to fall, so nobody else was able to improve, and pretty much that was it for qualifying. So into Q2, myself and Pierre Verstappen setting the pace. Lance Stroll up there once again in P2, and yeah, both cars into the second part of qualifying. Now in Q2, again, the weather's going to change because we need to look at the forecast, because things can change from Q1 to Q2 to Q3 all the time. There can be constant weather evolutions, and you can see here we've got rain pretty much for the entirety of Q2, with dry weather appearing around the 60-minute mark, which in theory qualifying should be over by then. So for this one, we're going to go for the intents of course, but I'm going to make an adjustment on the front wing, because in the wet weather, I like to have a bit more front end, and that's like a really, really key point. So we're going to go +1 on the front wing to give us a bit more bite on the front of the car and a bit more oversteer, which is not a bad thing in the wet weather if you can keep it under control. Now you join me at the end of my first push lap here on the intermediate. It's just trying to get, you know, my eye in and get comfortable with the car with these conditions, as we have to kind of relearn and readapt all of our braking points and get used to the conditions. First lap, P7, not the best, and the reason it wasn't the best is because the rain was actually getting really heavy. It was on the extreme wet side of things. You can see behind we've got Lando and Ricciardo on the top left on the full wets. Now I was trying to brave it out on the intermediates, but the conditions were getting pretty bad. It was full wet tyre territory pretty much. Luckily I was able to squeeze in one more lap on the inters here and improve by about 2.5 tenths, which was enough of an improvement to kind of just help me relax a little bit as we go P6 with a purple sector 3. I tried pushing on though, trying to drive through the conditions and seeing if I can make it work, because sometimes the inter can still be just as fast as the full wet if you can drive it well. And you can see here we are up.
These conditions don't look like they're shifting. We're predicting at least 20 minutes of heavy rainfall. Full wets seem to be the fastest tyre for now.
Now we're going to keep pushing. The weather's getting worse, but we're still finding a bit of time. And you can see we were over 2 tenths up, and now we're only a tenth up. And then I mess up the chicane really, really badly. And this, again, a bit like Q1, was kind of the moment I realised, okay, that's it now. The track isn't getting any better. So the reality check, the moment where I thought, okay, that's it, game over. We have to pull the car in, and we also invalidate anyway. So yeah, track too wet, we're going to abandon, and we're going to see if that's enough, because if the weather stays like this, the track shouldn't be any faster. So you can see right now we're P6. We've got 8 tenths over Leclerc in P10, which is quite a big gap to be fair. And then you can see all the cars beneath Leclerc who are currently in the knockout zone. So right now, I would say we're looking pretty decent if the weather stays as is, which that is the forecast. So we didn't go back out. The AI did try to go out on the full wets, but none of them improved. And yeah, we're into Q3. So safely through, decent Q2 session again, keeping it pretty simple like Q1, using only one set of tyres and being quite efficient with our runs. And yeah, both cars into Q3, both McLarens as well, both Red Bulls. So the usual suspects up the sharp end. Now then, Q3, the rain of course is still going to continue. We've got, I'm assuming, about another 30 minutes left, so maybe even a bit less than that to be fair at this stage of qualifying. But yeah, with about 6.5 minutes to go here, we're going to finish our first time lap in Q3. Across the line we go, 19.1. We go second place, half a tenth off Max Verstappen, and we're going to continue on here because there's more pace to come, and you want to basically, in the rain, just keep turning laps, turning laps, because you build up your confidence, you build up the momentum, and the track is constantly improving, so you want to make sure you're always on track. So we're a tenth down through the first sector at this point. We do find a bit of time through the Rodin de Villeneuve. Into Tosa though, I run it in a bit deep on the brakes. We do pull it back though and get a pretty decent exit, a bit of oversteer, but still finding lap time as we're just under a tenth below our previous best. Through turn 9 now though, Biladella, we find loads of time, pretty much a full tenth through there. Downhill, Aqua, Minarale on the brakes, pick up a late apex, square off the exit, straight traction.
We've only got 2 laps of fuel left.
And then now into the Variante Alta chicane. Fourth gear, overshot the first apex a little bit, which compromised my second apex, but the exit was pretty good, and we're 2.5 tenths up right now, making our way into the Rivazza's Rivazza Uno, down to third, quickly back up to fourth, and then fifth, a double short shift, and then Rivazza 2 back on the gas, smooth on the traction, and look at this, we're out by 3 and a bit tenths here as we cross the line and move into provisional pole. Very happy with that one. We're going to keep pushing though and see what we can do. At this point, I had a decision to make. Do we continue with this and, you know, run out of fuel on this run, or do we box for another set of tyres and try to improve, because the track will be drying up gradually towards the very end and the last lap of qualifying. At this point, you can see here we run it wide through Aqua Minarale and Invalidate, and that was kind of my, let's say, the encouragement I needed to go to the pits, get a fresh set of tyres on and go again at the end of qualifying.
We anticipate an end to this rain in around 5 minutes. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
And there we go, rain to end in about 5 minutes at the time, which more or less is going to be when the checkered flag drops. So what I did here was I actually let all of the cars go by and start their laps, and I want to be the last car to start our lap. Now, we are at risk that other AI cars might go for a second push lap and they might push us down once the session eventually ends, but this is going to be our last chance and the best track conditions we're going to get. So it's barely raining, the track has dried quite a lot, fresh set of intermediates on the car. Let's send it, let's see what happens. So into the Variante Tamburello, 5th gear, inside curb through both apexes, short shifting on exit to clean up the drive out the corner, along the straight, already a 10th up into the Variante Villeneuve, 6th gear, tight on the left to open the right and get back on the power, bit of oversteer, but we're a 10th up in sector 1. Tosa early on the brakes, getting the apex and then screwing off and getting nice drive on the exit, and we're a 10th and a half up heading into turn 9. Spot the braking, 50 meter board, 5th gear, we don't quite get the apex as we run a bit wide with some understeer and we've pretty much lost all of our advantage. We unfortunately repeat the mistake we done on our last time lap, and that is going to be it. Game over in qualifying and no more laps for us. Are we still on pole though? Yes we are, and look at that, nobody else managed to improve and we secure pole position for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix here at Imola. 1/10 ahead of Max Verstappen, and also Ricciardo up in the mix there in P3. Gasly only P5 to be fair, nearly half a second off the pace, but still, the usual suspects are up in the mix there. McLaren actually having a bit of a poor Q3, and Latifi in P10 with a 5-place grid penalty. So yeah, decent qualifying overall, first pole of the season, and we'll be looking to convert that into a race win hopefully in the race tomorrow. But guys, that's it for qualifying. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe for more. I'm going to rest my voice now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, a massive thank you to the channel members for supporting the content, and finally check out the 2 videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. But that's it from me here today, and I'll see all of you in the next one.